Hey everyone, it's Lisa. Well, today I decided to try something different. I had a card making class at my house, and I decided to record the class for two reasons. The first was so that they could see what I was doing. My camera is hooked up to a TV that's on my wall, so I thought that would be fun and make things easier. And also, I was hoping to be able to use this video to share with you. So I'm doing narration for the first time ever, and this is about my third or fourth time of recording this. Um, very challenging, and I have a lot to learn about how to edit the narration without messing up the whole video. So anyway, I started all over from scratch that many times. So what you see me doing here is I'm using the Secret Garden stamp set, which is a really cool set. I'm so excited it has a coordinating framelit die to go with it. And I'm using Primrose Classic ink to stamp two flowers onto this crumb cake cardstock. Checking to make sure it's inked up enough that I don't have any halos, any ink in places where I don't want it. And as you will see later on in the video, I actually stamped that flower a little too far over to the left. It should have been more toward the right, and you will see why I say that later on. And now I'm getting the stem out of that stamp set, and I am going to use Oud Olive Classic ink, which is my favorite. I seem to pull that particular one out whenever I'm doing stems or leaves. I also like, actually I like all the colors, but you have your favorites that you just seem to pull out the most, and that's the one that I pull out more than any of the others. Okay, so here I'm showing them and talking to them about halos, and that's the ink you get around the edge of the stamp, and that will show up when you stamp, and I didn't want that. You don't want that. Um, the new classic ink pads that we have are very juicy, and I know I've said that before, and you don't need to press in at all. In fact, you don't want to press into the pad at all, because it will give you that halo effect. And as you can see, I also got it all over my block. I don't even know why I pressed it that much. Excuse me. So I should be zooming out here pretty soon. As you all know, I tend to forget that. So I'm just stamping that off at an angle that makes sense to me. And again, I got extra ink around my stamp, so I have to wipe that off. You can just wipe that off with your finger or with a baby wipe. But it's a good idea to check when you're stamping, just to make sure you have enough ink and that you don't have too much. So here I flip the stem over, obviously, and I'm showing them that to get the stem going in two different directions. Here I have one of my teeny tiny wishes stamps. I love this set. Out of all the sentiments that I have, I pull out this set the most. One, because it has quite a few different sentiments, and also the size is usually perfect for what I need. I can use it in a lot of my punches. So yeah, that stamp set gets a lot of use. So here I am using the Stamp-A-Majig, and I'm talking to them about the image sheet, and it's so funny because I could not remember the name of that to save my life. I wanted to call it an image plate, which I knew it was not, but it wasn't till way later that I remembered what to call it exactly. Here I am showing them um, the different size of the Stampin' Scrub pad. I have two of these. This is my old one. For some reason, it's in two parts. um, but I'm showing them the large water droplets on the one side, which is the wet side. And I really appreciated the fact that I had the camera on that and I could zoom in and show it to them on the TV monitor up on the wall. So much easier than, trying to show people in the past and go around the table and all that. So now I'm just wetting it with some of our spray and cleaning my stamp. And then here I'm showing them the dry side. You can see there's an umbrella and some tiny water droplets. Obviously the umbrella represents keeping us dry out of the rain, so that's the dry side. And now I'm just going to see where I want my sentiment to go and line it up. And I'm explaining to them how they need to make sure that they hold the Stamp-A-Majig firmly and not let their paper move. I forgot to open my ink pad, so I get to do it with one hand. Ta-da! You learn how to do things like that when you're a mom with babies. So I'm letting them know they just want to stamp straight down and straight up. No rocking of the stamp or anything like that. And then here I'm showing them how I use the Signo gel pen to do a faux stitch around the edge of the card. And I also rounded the corner, I guess that one corner on the top of the card. But with this one, I'm going to do some piercing. And so I'm using the paper piercing pack, and it is the Essentials pack. And looking at the card now, I'm thinking I might do that card again and just do either like a line around the card or faux stitching and just have it meet up in the corner where the flowers are. I think I would like that. Instead of adding or without adding the designer series paper. Which is cute too, but right now looking at it, I can just see doing it the other way also. Now I did a lot of the piercing before the class because I didn't want them sitting there watching me, for a long time piercing the paper. But I realized as I was doing it that I probably should have done more of the piercing than I had because I still felt like they were watching me for a long time. just like you are right now. And I'm explaining to them that, you just line up. You can tell where the piercing has been done when you are looking through the piercing mat. So you just line those holes up and continue on with your piercing. And as I was doing that, I realized, it might be kind of cute to run some thread through there. I might try that later. Also, one of the ladies said she was going to try it. Thread through the pierced holes. Could be interesting. So I have here, it's 1 3/4 by 5 1/4 piece of Sunshine and Sprinkles Designer Series paper. It is in our spring catalog. And I'm just going to tape the ends of the ribbon to the back of that piece. And you will see here that I leave quite a bit of slack in the ribbon. And it's just something that I do to try again to save ribbon. Instead of laying a piece of ribbon down and then cutting another piece for my bow, I do it this way. So I try to leave myself enough ribbon so that I can, when I cut it, I can make my bow. And here I'm deciding whether I want it in the center or at the top. And of course I decide I want it at the top. But I'm letting them know they can, they can do either thing. And then I realized it would be a lot easier if I'd go ahead and place that down onto the card. And this is where I realized that I should have stamped my flower further to the right of the card, because I ended up having to cover it up a little bit. I guess I could have trimmed my Designer Series paper down. That was another thing I could have done, but I didn't think of that at the time. And as you can see, I didn't give myself very much ribbon to work with, which was fine because I was only using a 1/4 inch piece of ribbon. But of course, if that was thicker ribbon, then I'd have to use more. And this is our 1/4 inch grosgrain ribbon, stitch ribbon. So I'm just fixing my bow, trying to get it to where where I like it. And now I'm using my So Saffron Stampin' Write marker. I'm going to use the pin side to color in the stamen on the flowers. And the pin side is perfect for this because the stamen were so tiny, tiny little sections to color in. And I'm almost done with this card. At the end of the video, you will see this finished card and one of the other ones that I did. And I also put up just a few of the cards the ladies made. We made 3 cards in the class, and they were supposed to all be birthday cards. But, of course, they were free to use another sentiment if they wanted to. And honestly, some of them just put me to shame when I looked at their cards. They were so beautiful. So there's that. Oops, I have one more thing to do. I'm going to add some rhinestones from our basic jewels. Because I always like a little bling. And so that's it. That's the completed project. So I hope you enjoyed this card, and I look forward to being with you again. Thanks for watching.
Hey, if you wanna play, make it about a place. It'll take creation, imagination. Try to draw outside the line. Let us see inside your mind. You'll find